with the shape of you. We push and pull like a magnet do. Although my heart is falling too.
Well, did you know that silence can be perceived as a sign of strength? So how can we all achieve that power not to gab? Joining us this morning to explain more is body language expert Leo Cardenas. Thanks so much for being here on Eye Opener.
I'm glad to be here.
Always good to see you. So, I've heard this before, that silence can be a sign of strength. So first of all, what does silence say to people?
Well, it depends on what kind of silence we're talking about. During a conversation, if we both go quiet, that gets awkward, right?
Yeah,
nobody
especially
knows
on a
what to
date,
say.
right?
Oh,
That's
awful.
bad.
That's awful. But if I'm actually trying to find out more information about you, for example, and I keep interrupting you or I keep saying things while you're talking, then that's not a sign of strength at that point. That's actually more of an interruption. So a good listener will go what I call in the quiet diet, for example. So you just kind of stay quiet, let the other person say what they want to say, so that we're not listening to reply, we're actually listening to understand to what you're actually trying to say.
I love that point. There are some people who listen for a chance just to jump in the conversation and make their point.
I call them conversation kidnappers.
Oh, come on now. Hashtag conversation kidnapper.
They want to make the conversation about themselves, so they're listening for that one thing that they can say, I did that. And that takes away from actually being a good listener, and it doesn't make you any stronger during a conversation. You want to be looked at as a leader and as a good listener. The only way to do that is to just be quiet.
Okay, so your points are, improves your image as a leader, helps you get information out of people, but also allows you to understand more.
Absolutely.
Okay, and then what about self-control? How does silence help with your self-control?
So when you actually are able to stay quiet during a conversation to listening, you are actually controlling yourself from interrupting. So it allows you to improve yourself as well. Because now I have the control to not say what I want to say in my head to interrupt you. I'm just letting you say what you need to say.
Yeah. So why is this a sign of strength then? If you can sort of control yourself and be a listener who's engaged in the conversation and not just looking for a chance to speak, why is that a sign of strength?
Well, leaders actually display good control over silence. Basically, they use it to get more information out of people. And if I'm looked at as a good listener, I can be seen as a good leader as well. Because a good leader doesn't always say what to do, they just listen to let you come to your own point, for example. So if I let you talk, if I not gab, I let you actually converse with me without using a lot of interruption, then you look at me and go, wow, he made it all about me. I felt really good about that conversation, and you walk away feeling like the person really listened to you and made it all about you instead of about them.
Any advice for the folks at home on how they can use this in their everyday lives?
Silence is one of those things you have to learn how to do it, because we are hardwired to actually interrupt. We want to make everything about ourselves, unfortunately. So it's something that you need to practice. Just listen to the person that is talking to you. Try to stay as quiet as possible so that you start understanding what they're saying instead of looking for a way to kidnap that conversation and inject your own part of the conversation, what you want to say.
So don't be a conversation kidnapper. Well, Leo, I've learned that silence comes in handy, especially when you're negotiating.
It does.
Doesn't it?
It does.
Negotiations just go,
I actually let people, when they
It works, I promise you.
when they actually, when you stay quiet and the other person is telling you something that you want to get more out of it,
Yes.
they'll
keep
have
talking.
Yeah, because
Yes.
they hate a vacuum, right? They don't like that silence, so they'll say more.
All right, Leo Cardenas, thanks for being here on the show. We always love his advice. And still to come on Eye Opener this morning.